Alright guys, so like I was saying, okay, so we kind of delved into this last week when we started our do now. And we were talking about we have 17 coins in our pocket, and both of those were dimes and quarters. And we wrote our system, right? So we had x plus y equals 17. And then we knew that each dime is worth 10 cents, so we had 0.1 times x. And then each quarter is worth 25 cents, so we had 0.25 times y, and that equaled $3.35. Okay, and you told me by guessing and checking that we had 6 dimes and 11 quarters. Okay, so we will continue to learn how to write our systems from the word problems that were given. All right, so looking at our word problems, we can translate those word problems into math, right? So word problems can be solved using algebra, but the problem is we have to first denote our variables. So the values in the word problem that we don't know yet, right? So like what we're looking for is going to be represented as x and y, or you can make it whatever variable you want to. Okay, for example, our last do now was dimes and quarters. We could have said D and Q. A variable is a variable, right? So it's just a placeholder until you figure out what that value is. The other words in a sentence are usually translated into some sort of mathematical symbol or operation, right? The other words in the sentence, okay, in my word problem is usually translated into some sort of mathematical symbol or operation, like adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing. Okay, and again, we're talking about the system of linear equations, right? So we're going to have multiple equations. We will write multiple equations for our systems. Okay, so looking at our first example, okay, we have one large pitcher and two small pitchers that can hold 8 cups of water. Okay, so we have one large pitcher and we have two small pitchers that can hold 8 cups of water. One large pitcher minus one small pitcher constitutes 2 cups of water. How many cups of water can each pitcher hold? Okay, so going back, our first step is to define your variables. So once again, we're going to have 2 variables, right? We're going to have an x and a y, or you can say a and b, you can say x, z, it's up to you. But you must denote what you make x and what you make y. So for example, we said that D is equal to dimes. We said that Q is equal to quarters, or we could say that X is equal to dimes. We could say that Y is equal to quarters. You just must denote what you have for what variable. So step number 1 is to define your variables. Step number 2 is then to rewrite the part of the word problem by translating the sentences to make your first equation. So what I'm saying is you will write your first equation. You will translate and write your first equation. Obviously, then your third step would be to write your second equation. Right? So first step is I need to define what variables I'm using. Okay? And then what I need to find. Second step, I need to write my 2 equations, second and third step. Fourth step would be to solve. And again, the only way we will know how to solve right now is by graphing, which we talked about on Thursday and Friday. Alright, so looking at my first example, it says one large pitcher and 2 small pitchers can hold up to 8 cups of water. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to label my variables, right? So let's say that X is the number of cups in the large pitcher, cups of water, right? And then we have another pitcher, we have the small pitcher, right? So let's say the large pitcher can hold, I don't know, 6. Let's say the small pitcher can hold 2 cups of water, right? So those are not the same size at all. So those are my 2 variables, a large pitcher and your small pitcher. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is define my variables. There it is. Okay, I know that I'm dealing with 2 size pitchers. Okay, do we all know what a pitcher is? Something that holds liquid, right? So we're dealing with 2 size pitchers, right? We have a large one and we have a small one. So X, we're going to say, is a large, and Y is going to be the small. All right, so step number 1's done. Then step number 2 is then to write your first equation. So in this case, I'm going to look at the 8 cups of water, right? Well, it says that one large pitcher can hold X number of cups of water. Well, then we look at the 2 small pitchers. We know that that holds Y cups of water, but I have 2 of those pitchers. So I've got to have 1X, because I have one large pitcher, plus 2Y, because I have 2 small pitchers, to hold a maximum of 8 cups of water. So my first equation is 1X plus 2Y is equal to 8. Next step is then to write your second equation. So I'm looking here, one large pitcher minus, okay, well that's going to tell me what operation is going to go right there. One small pitcher constitutes 2 cups of water. So judging by my first equation, Ryan, what do you think is going to be the variable right here for your second equation? X, right? So X, and then Elisha, what's going to go right here? Minus. All right, so Hayes is what's going to go right here? One small pitcher. So I've got X minus what? Y, because Y is representing the small pitcher, and that's going to constitute 2 cups of water. So I've got X minus Y is equal to 2. So your first equation is X plus 2Y is equal to 8. Your second equation is X, large pitcher, minus Y, small pitcher, equals 2 cups of water. So there's our system of equations. We've got it. Now to solve that, we would solve by graphing, because that's the only way we know how to do it. And like I said on Thursday and Friday, the good thing about Desmos, our online calculator, is you don't have to have it in slope-intercept form. All you got to do is go to Desmos, type in X plus 2Y equals 8, X minus Y equals 2, and solve and graph it. You get your solution. Now this is what your graph looks like. Okay, and you can see it intersects right there. Right, so that is my solution. Again, to review, our solution is our point of intersection. So where those 2 lines intersect. Where those 2 lines intersect. If we have 2 parallel lines, okay, meaning they have the same slope, it's either going to be no solutions or infinite many solutions. All right, so example number 1, there it is. Example number 2 says John has 2 CDs and he's going to buy 4 more per week. His friend Joan has 6 CDs and she's going to buy 2 more per week. When will they have the same number of CDs? And then how many will each have? Okay, so again, the first step, define your variables. Right, so X is going to be my number of weeks, and then Y is your number of CDs. Okay, because the number of CDs you have depends on how long they've been collecting the CDs. That should make sense to everybody. Right, let me say that again. The number of CDs they have depends on how long you've been collecting the CDs. If you've only been collecting the CDs for 1 week, then you only have a certain number. Okay, but if you have, let's say for a whole year, you're going to have a lot more. All right, so again, denote your variables. X, number of weeks. Y, number of CDs. Okay, second step is then to write your first equation. So in this case, I've got Y is equal to 2. So Y is the number of CDs total. So the number of CDs total that John has is equal to 2. He's already got 2. Plus, he's going to add 4 more per week. So 4 per would mean to multiply X. Right? So he's got 2 total right now plus 4 times X. Okay, so we could say 2 plus 4X or 4X plus 2. Same thing. So first step, define your variables. Second step, write your first equation. Third step, write your second equation. So we're going to look at Joan. Joan's going to have 6 CDs, and she's going to buy 2 more per week. Okay, so Graham, help me out. What would be the second equation for Joan?
It'd be,
she already has 6, and she's going to add 2 more per week.
Y equals 2X plus 6.
Yeah, Y equals 2X plus 6. So 2X, and then she's already got 6, so she's got 2 times the number of weeks plus 6. So there's your equation. Now we can look right here, we can see that this has a slope of 4, this has a slope of 2. So we know right now that there's going to be one solution because those are not parallel lines. This has a y-intercept of 2, this has a y-intercept of 6. Okay, so if we were to graph that, it would look like that. Your solution is at 210. Therefore, it would be 2 weeks. They would have the same number of CDs, and the number of CDs would be 10. Okay, so going by our variables, x is 2, right, and x is the number of weeks. So after 2 weeks, they will have the same number of CDs, and then that number of CDs is 10. 10. All right, last one. So last one, I'm going to give you about a minute. I want you to work on it by yourself. So again, I've already done step number 1 for you. So x is going to be my first number, and then y is going to be the second number.
You choose the number?
Huh?
You choose the number?
No, we're finding the numbers. Write your equation. So I've got 2 numbers that are going to add. Their sum is going to be 12. So I've got a first number, x. I've got a second number, y. Those have to add to give me 12. And then I've got the same 2 numbers, but now their difference is going to be equal to 4. So I need to write my first and second equation. Step number 1's done for you. X is going to be the first number. Y is going to be the second number. So we know that the first number and the second number have to add. Their sum is going to be 12. They have to add to give me 12. I'm telling you what you should be writing right now. And I know that the same 2 numbers, x and y, have to subtract. The difference is going to equal 4. All right, Andrew, help me out. What would be the first equation? It says find the value of 2 numbers if their sum is 12. So what does sum tell me to do, Andrew?
Sum means add.
Okay, so I've got first number, which is what?
12.
No, first number.
X.
Okay, so I've got x, and I'm going to, what'd you say? Add the second number, which is?
Y.
And I'm going to get?
12.
All right, so x plus y equals 12. Okay, Ryan, help me out with the second equation. I know the same 2 numbers are going to be a difference of 4. So again, I've got the first number, which is?
X.
And I've got the second number, which is?
4.
No,
Y.
look, y. Okay, and then what is the operation in between?
For the subtraction.
Subtraction, and it's going to equal?
4.
Okay, so help me out. What did I say?
X minus y equals 4.
Yeah, x minus y equals 4. So you got x plus y, first number plus second number, sum is going to be equal to 12. And then we got the same 2 numbers, but their difference, subtraction, is equal to 4. All right, like I said, graph it. Your solution is going to be 8, 4. So the first number is 8, second number is 4.